So thank you for coming today, guys, and Happy New Year. So we're just back from the new year and we're proceeding on with our Spotlight series. And today we're looking at Vvox. And Vvox was introduced through iNOTE to support student engagement in live classes in MS Teams. So I'll leave it over to the project team and let you work away, guys. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks very much, Louise, and welcome everyone, and thanks for joining. I'm Jennifer Gilligan and I'm an instructional designer from IT Sligo, and I'm joined by Gavin Clinch, who will be giving us a practical demo of Vvox, and we are also kindly joined by Joe Probert, Senior Customer Success Manager, and Alan Dudley, Global Institute Sales Manager for Vvox. So what is Vvox? Vvox is an audience interaction platform with live polling and Q&A. So it helps students to participate in polling and Q&A activities created by you, the lecturer, prior to or during a live class. As part of the iNOTE project, an educational license was acquired for staff to aid staff in enhancing their classes and making this type of engagement easier for all. Students can vote on live polls created by you, ask questions, and even like other comments to show their approval or agreement. It makes classes and communication more interactive, engaging, and democratic. Lecturers can share the results of polls with their students in real time and get a detailed downloadable report giving them an insight as to what participants really think and understand about their module or topic. Vvox isn't just for the classroom, it can be used in meetings with colleagues and other staff. So whether you're teaching online or in the classroom, increasing student engagement and lecture participation can be very challenging. You may find yourself competing with phones and other distractions, while using all of your energy up presenting the material and trying to gauge the class's understanding. At best, you may get some discussion or questions from students, but this may only be a small percentage of the class, which means that it's sometimes difficult to spot whose attention we are not getting and who needs help with the topic. What we really strive for is to see our students engaging with each other around the topic, not just with us, asking questions, contributing to each other's learning while making learning fun and exciting. The Vbox platform can help you to create live polls on the fly or in advance, and once they are open to your students, you can see the results in real time. Results can also be given or released to students in real time. A unique ID number is created every time you create a poll, and you can simply share the QR code or this ID with your students. No activity in Vvox is available to your students until you have opened it. So even if you create it in advance, they won't have visibility until you are ready. There are many live voting types so that you can collect information that you need across multiple teaching and learning scenarios, including multiple choice polls, word cloud polls, text entry, star rating, numeric polls, pin on image, and image polling. After you close your poll, you can download the Excel report. As mentioned previously, polls can be autonomized, or you can allow students to be identified depending on which outcome you wish to achieve. As a lecturer, asking questions to gauge understanding and flag difficulties with topics can be done in Vvox using a Q&A poll. Students can ask questions or upvote questions posed by other students. You can then display the most popular questions first to prioritise these questions. Discussions can take place anonymously so that you can gather honest feedback and honest questions. Questions can be reviewed before they are published, and as mentioned previously, all Q&A data can be downloaded into Excel for further analysis. Live quizzes can be devised to help identify students who need more help or focus on areas which students need more resources. Students can also find out which questions they got wrong in real time, which gives them instant feedback during a live class. A leaderboard view can be displayed to allow students to see how many of the questions were answered correctly by the entire group, and equally which ones were incorrect. Results can be set to anonymous so that students' results are shown to them in a useful way without causing distress or discouragement from further participation. Word clouds are a great icebreaker and can be a fun way to draw out prior knowledge around a topic before exploring it in detail. Word clouds can also break up a heavy topic into small sections and give you time to prepare for the next topic by asking students to work together. Word clouds can be captured and added to visual notes for better note-taking and group work. Vvox also allows you to share your screen within the platform itself or share your polls within Teams so that students don't have to leave the Teams platform to participate. You can share your Vvox poll while conducting an online class in Microsoft Teams by using the Vvox integration. Your polls are shared in Teams in the Teams screen, and your students can access it within the live class. If you are in the classroom, you can use Vvox on its own, and you can use your students can use any mobile device to participate. There is also a PowerPoint integration where you can insert live polls into your slides, breaking up large volumes of PowerPoint slides and making PowerPoint more interactive rather than passive. You can use Vvox in the classroom or in an online setting, and you can add other colleagues as editors to your polls for ease of co-teaching. Colleagues can add questions to your polls, or you can share your questions for others to use within their modules. We see the main benefit of using Vvox is to give you the tools you need to enhance face-to-face classroom, online lectures, or meetings. Its integration and standalone features make it flexible and easy to use. Its instant open and close function means that polls can be controlled by you when and where you need them across multiple modules that you teach on. And other features mean that the space becomes safe for students to ask and answer questions and give honest feedback. To find out more about Vvox, you can go to vvox.com or visit our own Vvox info page. Simply go to the IT Sligo Moodle and click on Home. Type in Vvox into the search bar and you'll find a dedicated Vvox info page. Or you can also contact myself or Gavin if you want any further information. I'll now pass you on to Gavin, who's going to do a short demonstration in Vvox.
Thanks, Jennifer. Getting an echo there. I'm just going to post something into the chat. So there's a little visual there in the chat, so you can access the Vvox app. We look up at the top of the screen, to the left of the three dots, it says More Actions, and to the right of where you normally raise your hand, there's a little icon there. It says Vvox Demo. Can everybody see that? Anybody not see it? Let me know. So when you click on that, it'll open a new panel down the right hand side. And I suppose just to point out that I created this one in advance of this meeting, and more than one person can actually create a Vvox poll. So say Jennifer wanted to create one as well, maybe Joe did. So there could be three icons sitting up the top. So at the moment the session is inactive because I haven't made it live yet. I'm just checking. Anybody got any questions? No. Okay, yeah. So it says inactive because I haven't made it live. So I'm going to do that now, which is I'm looking at my my Vvox app on another screen. So I'm going to start the session.
Yeah, that's working there. If anyone wants to hit retry.
Yeah, so now it says Spotlight on Vvox, welcome. Okay, but there are no questions yet. I'm going to start my first question. Okay, so you should see the question which says, what is your favorite color? Now this is a word cloud. So a word cloud only takes one word. So if you want light gray, won't go in, or deep purple won't go in unless you don't put a space in between them. So I can see the answers coming in now. You can type in your response. I can see that there are 9 responses in so far. Okay, I don't know how many. 11 responses in. How many have we got in the room? Anyway, that'll do. So I can stop that poll, and then I can show the results to that. You can see them there. I'm just going to share my screen now so that you can actually see them. Okay, can you see them on the main screen?
Yeah, Gavin.
All right. So, yes.
Looks like blue is popular there.
Blue is very popular. Yeah. So you get the idea of it there for the word cloud, and obviously you could have you might have 30, 40, 50 people putting things in. So I think blue had about 6. So obviously the larger the you know how the word clouds work, the larger the text, then the more popular it is. So that's a word cloud, but as Jennifer said earlier, useful for an icebreaker and for other questions. So now I can move on. You can see from this window, I can just move on to my next question. So the next question there. So this is a text question. Which historical figure, alive or dead, would you most like to meet or have met? Sorry for those of you who are members of the COIL team, because I know we did this before Christmas. This time, obviously, you can type in more than one word. So with 8, give it another few seconds. Okay, 9 of 13. So when I close that poll, and it just takes a few seconds then to generate the answers. So you can see the different answers in there. 2 for Elvis, 1 for Elvis Costello. So well, I suppose Presley was only ever known as Elvis. Okay, so you get the idea of that one, and I can move to my next question. This one requires a little bit more reflection, perhaps. So for you, what is the main positive about remote hybrid working? I'm assuming that most of you have had at least some experience of it over the last 18 months. So again, you can type in an answer, but just do it very quick answers just to see how it goes. Oh, there's lots of answers coming in. Okay, so again, there's 10 of 13, and I'll stop that one there. So what you see is that the answers are coming up within the Teams panel on the right hand side, but also on if you have a second monitor, you'll see it there. So again, flexibility, yeah, and clothing. Well, unnecessary clothing from the waist down, it seems. Just be careful on that one, right? And I'll just move on to the last question then. So, what is the biggest negative about remote hybrid working? So again, you can see here on the main screen that I have here, I can see 2, 3 of 13, 5 of 13. So if you're looking for all of your participants to respond, you can gauge it on that. Also, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, like this is anonymized, so nobody's name's coming up with any of the responses, but you can change it depending on, I guess, really the type of questions that you're asking, whether you want people to, whether they're comfortable enough, perhaps, with putting their names to the questions. Okay, there's 9 of 13. I haven't responded, so I'm just going to close that poll. The biggest negative, the children. Okay, can't help with that one, I'm afraid. Yeah, loneliness, missing people, unable to meet colleagues. That seems to be a big thing. That kind of the social aspect, which look, let's face it, team Zoom meetings just don't quite cut it for that side of things. But we have been able to work. Living in a house with rubbish internet, yeah, I could imagine that hurts. All right. So that's the end of that one. I'm not going to do any more questions. So you get the idea of it. Jennifer also mentioned the ID, so you can see that the ID is here. And yeah, these 9 digits are what you need as the code to put it in. I'm not going to go into a big demo on this, on how to set it up, because it's really just an introduction, and we are rolling out training through the instructional design team for people that want to use it. And I think one other really important thing is that with the deal we have with, or the contract we have with Vvox, is that every member of staff has access to this app. So that, and I think as Jennifer said as well, it's not just for lecturers to do surveys with students. We can use these inside meetings, so management meetings, program board meetings, whatever it is you might want to survey the participants and get a response. We have 10 Mentimeter accounts. I don't know if anybody here, Anya, I think you had a Mentimeter account, but we only have 10 of those, and it's kind of limited really in what you can do. It was good, but I think Vvox does offer a lot more. So I'm just going to close down those and stop sharing. And I think at this point, Jennifer, will we see if there are any questions, or Joe, perhaps you want to come in at this point and add anything?
Yeah, I can't see any questions that have come in. So yeah, I'll take this opportunity to say hello and to introduce myself. But yeah, please do feel free to send in any questions that you've got. I'm obviously very happy to answer them, as I'm sure Gavin and Jennifer are as well. But yeah, just to introduce myself, my name's Joe. I'm one of the senior customer success managers at Vbox, and as my sort of job title probably suggests, my whole sort of job is around sort of making Vbox successful, for you guys, and that will involve supporting with training and things like that, but also about sort of sharing case studies and sharing sort of stories from other customers that we work with, and sharing best practice, because one of the things that I've certainly found over the years is you can look at Vbox as a sort of a list of features and things that it does, but it's where its kind of strength and where it really makes the difference is how it's how it's applied and how it's used in a setting. So a good example is that Q&A that we were talking about, so the ability for people to be able to ask questions, which in itself is a quite a straightforward feature. People can send in questions and they appear on the board, but there's also a functionality within Vbox that allows you to switch moderation on, which means that Q&A messages have to be approved before they then appear, and that potentially allows for things like leaving a Vbox session open over an extended period of time. So actually you might have your live classroom where you might have Q&A free flowing, but then you might choose to leave that Vbox session open but just switch moderation on so the Q&A board isn't getting out of hand whilst you're not monitoring it. And then that's still giving a forum for students to be able to ask questions anonymously, perhaps if they're doing some asynchronous work or what have you. And then when you come back into that next live classroom, you might choose to take sort of 5 minutes at the beginning just to take those questions that have come in during the week, address them, and then sort of move on. So that's taking a very simple feature like Q&A, and actually just by toggling a few little things and using it in a different way, makes for quite a sort of rewarding experience. And I find that with a lot of the features of Vvox. So yeah, that's kind of what we're here for. And whilst I'm sort of the lead customer success person for IT Sligo, as a company as a whole, we're very customer success focused. So I'd like to think that whoever you were to speak to in this company, they would all be geared around sort of helping and supporting you and sharing sharing ideas. So one bit of advice I would say, if you're just getting started and using Vbox for the first time, is to start off simply, really. So obviously it has a whole sort of range of features that you can use, but don't feel like because you've got all these features now at your fingertips that you suddenly got to go and use all of them from day one. Actually, just by having Q&A available for a session might make a massive difference, or just by asking one or two really good polls either at the beginning of the session or afterwards might make a really big difference. And then as you sort of build in confidence with running them, you might then start to introduce other features, because it's not about kind of turning your session into the Vvox show. It's about taking some the teaching and the work that you're already doing and just using Vvox in a way that's going to elevate that or make that better. And if it's not, it's not like you got to use Vvox in every one of your lessons. Only use it where it's going to really make a difference. So yeah, I don't know if there's any questions that have come in.
There are
There's
some
a few
questions.
there, yeah.
So yeah, Brian's looking for us to go back over the range of interactions with that slide.
I think I have it up there, Gavin.
Yeah, see you.
So we're looking at our live polls in terms of multiple choice polls, word cloud, text, star rating, numeric, pin on image, and image polling. So there's quite a choice there, and as mentioned, you don't have to use all of them. They're all individually created, so you just work on whichever one is more suitable for whichever class or meeting you're hosting. And you can have these, as I mentioned, created in advance. So you could have generic ones that are good icebreakers that you use across multiple modules, and you can just rerun them. So you can close them and reopen them in different teams, classes, or in the classroom.
We'll just move on. Brian, I know you've a follow-up question there. We'll come back to, but there was a question in here. There's a couple of questions around access. So Anya said, can you access through Teams, or is there a URL for setting up in advance? And do you need login details? But it's a single sign-on, so you can log in. But there is the Joe, you might explain this one probably better than I do, but you basically got a web app that you go to and you sign in there, and then you simply create the poll and bring in and align it to your Teams meeting or to a PowerPoint through the 9-digit number.
Yeah, that's basically it. You need to set yourself up as a user on the dashboard first and create a Vbox session. So as Gavin said, we've enabled SSO to do that. So you either go through our website and go to log in, and that will sort of link you up if you're using your university sort of login details to do that. But you can also go to itsligo.vbox.com and log in through there as well. And once you're into the dashboard, you would create your Vbox session, and there's help and support resources around doing that. To then enable it, within Teams, it's just a case of adding Vbox as an app to the Teams meeting, Teams session that you've got set up. And once you've done that, you'll then need to just type in the session ID that you want to assign it to. So that's why you need to go into the dashboard first and create a Vbox session to do that. I can post, actually, I'll find a help article on our website and I'll post that in the chat for you about the Teams.
It is quite intuitive as well, in that, the first time I used it, I went into a Teams session and I added it, and when I was trying to add it, a help video appeared for me. So, it knew that I was trying to do that step. So it had provided the help there and then for that step. So it is quite easy to use through the Teams integration, which possibly most of us may be using it through, because it's you just add it to your Teams meeting. So that could be this, your Teams class for your students. And once it's in there, then you're linking it to whatever activity you want to display to those students. So all you're doing really is linking what you've done in Vvox into Teams, by using, as mentioned, that code. So a unique code for every activity, and then that code provides that link for you into the Teams classroom space.
There's another question in here from Mary, which is, for students, will the app be available to them if they are not signed in with their student account?
I'm happy to answer. So yeah, so students don't need to be sort of signed in essentially to join. There is some features within Vvox that do allow you to sort of set that restriction if you wish, but you do that at an account level. But in principle, to join a Vvox session as a participant or as a student, you go to either go to vvox.app and enter in the session ID. You can scan the QR code that's presented to you, or if you've got it embedded within Teams, such as we've got here, the student would open it up there. And I think on that point, whilst you may have that Teams integration sort of put in, and therefore the majority of the audience will be joining that way, I do think it is also worth taking the time at the beginning just to introduce the other ways of joining as well. Just people like to do things differently, and some people just like to do it on their phone instead, and like that kind of second device kind of option. So it is always worth, I think, if you're using Vvox as part of a session, or when you get to a section where you're going to do it, to introduce that you can join Vvox in this way, but you have got it in Teams as well, and that way you're just ensuring that everyone's got that option to join.
Great, thanks, Joe. I suppose not different really from, say, Mentimeter, where you can go to a class or a conference and somebody's just giving you a web link and a code to put in, and you can participate. So Brian had asked again, Jennifer, about the pin-on image and the image polling. Do you want to touch on those?
Yeah, sure. I actually haven't used either of them yet myself, so I'm not fully sure on how they work, but I'm presuming that in the same way as the integration is here, we're able to respond both through the integration in Teams and separately, as Joe was mentioning, through your device. I think it's the same in principle in any of the input of the data. You're presented with an image that the lecturer would upload into a particular Vvox activity, and then everybody gets the chance to participate. But as I said, I haven't actually tried that. It would be a really good one to try, and considering like I'm really into graphics, I probably should have started with that one and seen how it worked. But I used the most straightforward ones first, to be honest. I've used the word cloud one and the Q&A one probably because they're the most frequently used at the moment, what we're trying to achieve at the moment through simple engagement, like icebreakers and just checking understanding. But that would be a really good one, particularly maybe for science, or I suppose where you're identifying different elements on any kind of graphics or images.
Thanks, Jen. I just wanted to mention as well, for those of you who are attending the ILTA conference tomorrow, there is a presentation from, I'm not sure what time it's on at now, but there is a presentation from somebody who's been using Vvox at it was a DCU, and they've been using it for student surveys for feedback on their classes. So if you get a chance and you're going to the ILTA Winter Conference, of our own end of semester student surveys for modules and program assessment. People are using Vvox for that, and certainly there is a good success story, Joe, around Vvox in terms of uptake across higher education in Ireland. I'm sure the UK as well. I know a number of universities, and well, there aren't many IoTs left, but the TUs are using Vvox pretty successfully.
Yeah, we have. We particularly in the last sort of 12, 24 months, we have seen a real kind of uptake in terms of not just sort of people using Vbox on kind of an individual basis, but this kind of institutional uptake, of Vbox, and as you said, particularly across sort of the Republic of Ireland and the UK. We've certainly been seeing a lot of sort of success there.
Great.
That's brilliant, guys. Thanks a million for all that. Unless there's any other questions coming from the floor. And I see, Jennifer, you've put up the link to the Moodle course on Vvox as well. So obviously that will be followed up with training on campus. And as usual, the IDs are there to support you along the way. Thanks a million, guys. That's brilliant. We'll close the session.